So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half stepping. That's the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about? Call it. We're hearing you. Cover all topics. Touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street with the Earl on the beat. We superb in the B legacy online. 7 to 9:30. Please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. That's the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about? Call it. We're hearing you. Cover all topics. Touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street with the Earl on the beat. We superb in the B legacy online. 7 to 9:30. Please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live. We in the building, ready to have an outstanding show. We're excited, y'all. It's Monday night, and every Monday night is good reason to be excited because we get to do Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. And so we have a special guest that we'll have join us here in a few minutes, about quarter past the hour. And we got a lot to get to. It's a couple of trials going on right now that have kind of piqued our interest in social justice and criminal justice in a way that we haven't seen in a few months. So we'll get into that. And so it's a lot. You know, I won't even tease it all right now. I'll just go ahead and move on to the intro. You are listening, watching, and a part of the Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J show. We are live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. We are the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. And guess what? We live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Zellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
All right, y'all. Ain't no hashtag when Marcus J is live. We are in the building, ready to have an outstanding show as we do every single Monday night at this time. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you to those folks right now that are checking us out on Facebook Live, and thank you to those folks that are checking us out right now on YouTube Live. Thank you to everybody who's watching and listening to our archive. It's because y'all rock with us. That's why we roll with you, and so we appreciate you. At this time of the show, of course, we always make sure that we go around, we get the usual suspects. But before I do that, I want to make sure that the first person who gets love tonight is someone that I have looked up to and has been a mentor to me since I was a young man. One of my favorite people and one of my favorite teachers. First man teacher I ever had in my life is watching and listening right now. Mr. A, I appreciate you, brother. I love you, brother, and I appreciate you. And we thank you for your kind wishes and well wishes. So thank you. Much love to you and your family. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. We're gonna go around the room and we're gonna get our salutations in from the usual suspects. Of course, he's sitting right there. Y'all can see him on the camera. He sits across from me every single week. He is my brother. He's my friend. I rocks with John. What it do, homie?
What's up, my brother?
Hey, man. How you doing, man?
I'm well, and how are you, bro?
I'm good, man. It's good. It's good to see you, man.
How was the weekend?
I had a good weekend. Before I get into that, I'm going to bring in our co-host and our sister. She sits on my right side because she's my right hand. Our sister Step B. What's up, Steph?
Always forward.
Always forward. Now, John asked me a question. I want to get us all in before I answer it, because for the first time, the three of us had an opportunity to kind of rock with each other outside of these confines. Now,
yeah, we crossed paths.
I'll make an allowance because of who they are and what just happened. We'll say their names.
Okay.
So just them. Just this once.
One time.
Oh, you want to play the video? You know I got the video.
Yeah, I bet you do. I know you do. But
I
Steph,
sent it to you.
You did. I had a chance to watch it. Steph, John and I and our brother Bobby was doing our normal guys time. And we got a chance to see you. Want to tell the viewers and listeners about that?
Yeah, I happen to be coming out of one spot. I mean, that's a really lit little block.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was coming out of one spot and I'm getting ready to jump in a ride share, and there goes John. I hear somebody saying Steph. I turn around and he was like, I saw the bow.
Yeah.
And so I waved and then I realized where he was going.
Yeah.
I didn't know the spot was open.
Yeah.
Now, I lived down the street, but I didn't know. That was the day.
That was the first day.
So I happened to be heading to another part of Richmond, Carytown.
Yeah.
To have dinner at a Thai spot with one of my girlfriends. And I text her that I said, FYI, your spot is open.
Yeah.
She basically was like, we need to turn around. I'll cover the ride share. We need to turn around. So I got there. She was finishing up a drink at a bar. We came back over.
Yeah.
I walk in, lo and behold.
The three of us.
It's not just John. It's Marcus, House of J.
Yeah.
Marcus dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to meet Bobby.
You got to meet Bobby.
I did. And it was nice to see you, brother. And you know what I like?
What's that?
I introduced you to my friend who's like a niece to me. And you guys were your usual awesome selves. And then just like nothing, the men went back to their conversation and the women went to theirs. It wasn't like I'm here, I'm crashing, although I would. It wasn't any of that. It was just like nice to see my brothers. We all took up the bar. We had a good time. The crab stuffed salmon was banging. That's my dish. And I guess now you can go ahead and say where we were.
Shout out to Sharita and shout out to the Croker Spot family. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm Croker Spot loyal. I have been for almost 20 years, and I rocks with them. I appreciate them. They gave me a lot of joy over the years, and I like that fishboat, and I like the the camaraderie. I like the fact that when I discovered them, they were in the heart of Jackson Ward, and those of us here in Richmond, Virginia, we know how important Jackson Ward is to the history of the South. You know, Jackson Wood is the short version. That's the black part of town. Here in
Harlem of the
Richmond
South,
is
it
the
was
Harlem.
dubbed.
It used to be called the Harlem of the South. The irony is where New Den of Legacy and that radio sits. It sits in the heart of Jackson Ward. So we paying homage, you know, that way. But that's where I discovered them, and that's been our watering hole for all of this time. And you know, for them to have had the unfortunate fire a few months ago, and them just reopening this Friday. Of course, John and our brother Bobby and me, you know, we love to hang out with each other. We love each other as brothers. We had to be there the first night.
Yeah, I had no clue.
We had to be there, and then we'd look up and look at the door, and here you come. I'm like, well, I'll be damned.
And you know what's
I'll
funny?
be damned.
I had been, I did Hustlers Hive earlier that day.
You did what?
Hustlers Hive
What's
Radio.
that?
You know,
What is
where,
Hustlers
it's where
Hive?
business meets culture.
Yeah.
You know,
Is that like a podcast or something?
it's actually a radio show.
Radio show.
Is it a radio show?
That's right, it is.
You mean to tell me you actually go in a radio station and do a whole show?
Who
A
knew?
whole show.
Well, I think you should probably tell our viewers and listeners
Well,
about it.
thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Tune in to the Hustlers Hive. You'll spend time with the Brooklyn Betty with the business breakdown. Basically, we talk about how we do business in a culturally relevant way that's still profitable, how we are represented in business culture, and where we could take it and move it further. The entire point is turning potential into profit. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Too many black businesses not making money. 80%, less than $142,000 a year. We're just trying to change the dynamics a little bit, make people a little bit richer.
The Hustlers Hive every
The Hustlers Hive.
Friday at 2:30.
2:30.
There you go.
WQCN 105.3,
Yeah.
choice1053.org.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, brothers.
Man, come on now. Come
but
on now.
After I did radio, I went over to the other spot, which is lovely, the newly revamped spot.
You can say their name.
Okay, so I was chilling at the New Brewers Cafe on Hull Street, and I was there for about 2 or 3 hours working. I gotta say, I went there on Saturday, about 3-4 hours working, and there was a DJ the whole time. Richmond black folk doing business, y'all go ahead. That's what I really go ahead, go and do it. That's why I love the way that business meets culture. Do we have things we need to adjust? Yes. Do we have some soul searching we need to do in order to adjust those things? Absolutely. But culturally, I mean, we're just dope people, and it shows up in platforms like this, and brick and mortars, and shea butters and bubble baths. We just are dope people, and just keep things interesting at all times. Like, I don't have to like you to acknowledge that you're dope. You gotta love us. You might not want us around, but you want to be like us.
You know, I have Steppin, Marcus, J. Live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. John, we got to hang out with our sister, man.
Yeah.
And I love the part when she said,
It was a good time.
I love the part when she said that they had the bar, we had the bar, and they did their thing, we did our thing. Like, I love that part. Like, that's the part to me that's really, really cool, because, you know, she and her sister had an opportunity to fellowship, and, you know, we were there as well. And, you know, it was
that
love.
time. I owed her that. Sometimes I think I was talking to somebody earlier today, and we were having a pretty intense conversation about our lack of trust for one another communally, right? Within the community, we lack trust for one another. And as we were talking about it, I really started thinking about all the times that when someone gives us, as you say, when someone gives us our flowers, we say, oh, no, I'm good. We can't even accept the compliments that we're given in an authentic and genuine way. Like, we struggle for somebody to say, Marcus, you're a dope brother. I love the platform you provide, and I love the father and the husband that you are. You cool. You for life. I got you.
Right.
And you return it with, thank you, sis.
Yeah.
We struggle with that.
Yeah.
We really have a hard time saying thank you and you're welcome. It's almost as though we still don't believe we're worthy of the flowers when we are given them. We struggle with it.
Yeah.
And just looking across the way, we do business and things like that, and how we engage with one another, we walk on eggshells for nothing. if it's just keeping it real, right?
No, I agree.
I walk in there, I already know you're fellowshipping. These are your brothers.
Yeah.
I already know that. I don't need to be the center of attention. I don't know why you guys showed up there. I don't know if you haven't seen each other in months and really need it. I don't know. But what's most important is you didn't include me for a reason. I didn't belong in that.
Right.
So it makes me know, never mind, to walk in the door and dap up and hug my brothers and walk to the other side and be confident in the fact that you're there at my
Right.
6.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
At my 6. I like that. Yeah.
And my sister and I get to catch up and she get what she deserves, which is the time I haven't been able to give her.
Right.
Especially as a woman who's younger than me.
Right.
So I think we need to get there. We need to get to a space of where we don't feel a sense of entitlement to each other's time, to each other's business,
Right.
money, property, any of that.
Right.
And that we're okay when it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I would love to see that for us because that's a level of accountability that kicks you up a notch.
It is. And not only that, just kind of piggybacking on the sentiment here, I think that if you know me, you know that one of the things that I'm big on is these 3 words. Say I love you, man. I don't understand. And you mentioned please and thank you is weird. I don't know why I love you has gotten to become weird. It is weird. Like, men don't like saying it to each other without qualifying it with something weird like no homo.
That's how homophobic our society is.
It's really troubling because the reality is there is nothing, and I mean nothing, as a man, as a black man, there's nothing more powerful than brotherly love. The comfort and the covering that you get when you know that your brother got you. When you say got you, even that is running from it. When you know that your brother loves you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we know it and we show it in our own masculine, void of emotional ways. But I think it all is kind of the same when you talk about the please and thank you. Like, why do we have so much trouble showing each other respect? Like, just basic common decency. I used to do.
There's this inferiority complex, this fear of you thinking you're better than me if I serve you well, if I give to you.
We did this. If we did this thing, Steph, and I don't know if you've ever done it, I would encourage you to try. Maybe your experience is different as a sister than what mine or what ours has been as men, but I have done this thing where I have randomly said good morning in those words, simply good morning, to other black people, males, females, men, women. If you know me, you know my general salutation coming or going is peace.
Peace.
But I'll say good morning just to see, I've done it over the years. And I have found that somewhere on average of 6 out of 10 people will respond.
Isn't that crazy?
The other 4 people going to either give you the mean mug or grit on you or what, and it's like, one of the things that I would always say is don't say the N word, replace the N word with brother, because it's hard to hate someone who's
that
referring to you,
brother,
as brother, which is part of the reason why I do it. It's the same here. Like, if I say good morning to you, say that shit back, yo, for real. Come on.
So simple.
Come on, man. You can't say good morning.
I'm telling you, people struggle with niceties. It's almost, and I'm talking intercommunally.
Yeah.
I don't care about what's happening out there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about amongst us. For instance, I was reading something not too long ago, and another black woman was saying, don't call me sis. Everybody ain't my sis. And I thought, if someone comes along and refers to you as that in a genuine way, she means nothing but love. And you are rejecting that. You're immediately, don't call me. I don't want everybody to call me sis. And it's like, to me, if someone thinks enough of you to say it and you're associating and you are surrounded by the right people, what could go wrong with that? To be considered somebody's sister within the community.
I want to tell you what I don't like. I know people, a lot of broadcasters, they start referring to everybody as bro. I don't like that. I don't like that. If we like Marcus said, no N-word. If we're not doing the N-word, don't be throwing up, bro. Don't be throwing up, bro. To
So
people
you
that
take
ain't
it
bro.
as it's not genuine.
Nah, I don't. It's not about genuine. It's about certain things that look. We got to keep something. We got to hold something. See, that's the problem, right? As people in this country, our community, we won't hold on to anything. We are
I
so
see where you're going with
gracious.
it.
We're so gracious and accepting and open and loving that we just absorb everything.
Let me
So, other cultures hold on to their thing.
I agree. And when I think cis, I am implicitly saying I reserve that word for very specific people.
yeah. For me,
And my assumption is most people do.
I'll do this. I'll say it this way. When I say my sister or brother, that's reserved for us.
Mhm.
Sis and bro might get it,
Somebody you let in.
somebody who I let in, if that makes sense. And I think for those who know, what I'm talking about. If you don't know, then you just don't need to know. But if you
Maybe
know,
the conversation wasn't for you.
it wasn't for you. All right, so let's jump on to joining our guest. They know how Steppin Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We're very excited today because we've got a very, very special guest that's joining us, our brother, Michael Kevin Crossley Sr. He is CEO and founder of HBCU, Educational Tours and Programs Incorporated. Our brother Kev is joining us. What it do, homie? What's up, brother?
What's going on? It's a pleasure. I appreciate you allowing me to be on this platform today.
Oh, my goodness,
really
Mike. Thank you, man. I appreciate your patience tonight. I appreciate you taking your time to be in with us today on the show. And I'm excited to talk to you, mostly because you and I have circled each other in social media for quite a long time. I've always been impressed with how you move. I've always been impressed with the things that I've seen. And so I want to kind of lead with that and say thank you to you for being a guest on our show. So I want to get that out of the way first.
I appreciate it.
All right. John and Steph and I will each kind of be talking with you. And by all means, the floor is yours this evening. We're going to kind of jump into kind of the things that we want to talk to you about. But I want to make sure that in the course of our conversation, the viewers have an opportunity to get in contact with you. So there'll be ample opportunities to share those things with you. But first thing I want to know is I'm a product of a historically Black college and/or university, HBCU, and so this is personal for me. And so when we see HBCU educational tours, simply, what is that? What does that mean?
What it is it's an opportunity. It's a program that brings opportunity for inner city youth. A lot of inner city youth specifically never get outside the four walls of the inner city. So this is a program that myself and a young lady of mine that used to be my COO, we came up with, and it's a way for inner city youth to go on 100% free tours to all HBCUs. We're completely circling the entire country. We've already gone to 9 HBCUs already, which tomorrow we'll be leaving, going to Shaw University and St. Augustine and Raleigh, respectively, there. So, because when I came up in school, we had these opportunities to go on college tours. They were free, but you didn't focus on HBCUs. So what this program is specifically geared for HBCUs, and it is a unique program because it's 100% free. All you have to do is be either a rising 8th grader at the time of registration up to 1 year after graduation, because we know that a lot of students, even though they graduate high school, they haven't made up their mind what school they want to go to, or they may actually be in a school of higher education and decide they want to go somewhere else. So we leave the door open for them to be able to still be in the program and take full advantage of all the free. When I say free, there are no hidden costs here. So all you need to do is just go to the website, which is www.hbcuedtours.com, and register on that platform. We just ask that our participants maintain a C average at the time of registration. If you don't have a C average, we encourage you to still register, because one thing we do not want to do is discourage anybody, because that registration that they complete that day may be the key factor that will get them above that GPA that they have. And I want to make this one point while talking about this program. I also am a product of an HBCU, which I'm currently at Virginia Union University. So I'm a sophomore at Virginia Union University. And because
so hard to be a Panther, brother. So hard to be a
yes,
Panther.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
You know, I have to lead by example. Like I said, you know, don't just lead by example, be the example. So if I'm encouraging these inner city youth and youth in general to go back and go into HBCUs, because, you know, a lot of our HBCUs are dying out. Right. So I'm trying to gather up as many youth as I can and steer them towards these HBCUs so we can keep them alive, because we know some of the best education comes from HBCUs.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Ain't no I Step Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We're talking to our brother Kev Crosley. He is the founder and CEO of HBCU Educational Tours and Programs Inc. Kev, you mentioned that the program is free. Free isn't always free. Free means free for the kids, but free doesn't mean free. So how is it that you're able to keep the program afloat? And how is it that the viewers and listeners can assist you in this mission?
How I've been keeping the program afloat, believe it or not, is everybody knows I drive for Victory Travel, and my boss there, she is one of my diehard supporters. And most of the coaches that we ride on, she donates to coaches. Wow. Some of them I pay for. So this program is 95% funded out of my pocket. So what I do is I work, drive a motor coach, and when I get my salary, I save it up, go into savings, and I take these youth on these free trips. We pay 100% for the bus when we have to pay for it. We feed them 3 meals a day. We give them customized book bags, face masks, name tags. There is no hidden cost. So in order for the program will continue to survive. I'm going to make sure of that. But what we really need to make this program and take it over that hump is we need sponsorship. We need donations. We need support. To date, the program started in April of 2019. To date, we received in cash donations about $5,200 and gifts from Kroger, Ross stores, Costco's, and Walmart. We received just under $2,000 in gifts. So it's hard to keep a program running when you don't have proper funding. Like, we're trying to run overnight trips. I'm trying to do a summer educational learning experience down at Atlanta universities. So I'm going to give you a prime example. For one trip, the most expensive part of the trip is the motor coach. So the motor coach can run, if we go down to North Carolina to North Carolina A&T and North Carolina Central, we went down there, that bus ran us $3,500. So that's where the majority of the money goes. So when we get sponsorship, corporate sponsorships, anybody in the community that, you know, we're 501c3, so we're tax deductible. So your donations will be tax deductible. Any donation we get, everything. And when I tell you everything, because no one here is on payroll, everything goes back into educating the mind of our inner city youth.
Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Kev, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate everything you're doing is phenomenal. I had the opportunity to be exposed to college tours. I think they were kind of a big thing in the 90s. A lot of us who graduated around that time would say
big
that.
In the 80s too.
Big in the 80s too. And so I'm a couple things I'm wondering. Does your 501c3 status prevent you from partnering directly with the HBCU so that they can funnel some grant money and things like that into your program? Is that potential for you all?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Yes, ma'am, it is. And I want to just say this, and I'm glad you mentioned that. With my board consists of 3 people. You know, when you have programs like this and there's not people not being paid, you have some that leave, some that want to stay. So the board consists of me. I'm the CEO, and my pastor is the COO, and one of the young ladies that is a branch manager of Richmond Public Library. She is the director of community relations. So we've been keeping the program up and running. So when you have basically a one-man show, it's kind of hard to really get out and get to the different areas you need to get to and try to address every needed concern that the program has. So being on this show with Marcus J and the rest of it allows us to open up the door so people can see exactly what the program has done and the potential that the program has moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just say, I mean, as someone who looks at, you know, marketable quotient and sales and things like that, what I would say is whatever they give you, whatever they donate to you, they're going to see 3- and 4-fold, because the cost of tuition, the lifestyle that student is going to lead, the activity-based revenue, things like that are going to feed them. So even if they gave you $4,000 to $5,000, you know, in grant money or funded trips as part of the sponsorship, they would really benefit from it. And I really hope that if anybody is listening that is closely connected to HBCUs and their fundraising departments and things like that, please mention HBCU educational tours, what is being done. Surely, you know, there's a big difference between people who are poor and privileged and people who are poor and lack exposure. And a lot of times for young Black people, there may not be that thing to live for. If you know you're heading off to college, you change certain things in high school, in middle school. You're on a path. So I love that you're exposing this, and thank you so much for what you're doing.
And you know, I have Steppin, Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. We getting a hit from a very, very special guest. Of course, this person is saying, "Hey, Kev, HBCU Educational Tours is a education and tours is a great program." That person is the birthday girl, our sister author Tracy Harney Scott. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Tracy.
Happy birthday. We love you. We love you. She is one of my inspirations.
Yeah.
I must tell you, since I came to Virginia, she has definitely lifted my spirit. She has guided me and opened doors for me, and I truly appreciate her.
That's nice.
Tracy's awesome. We know her, we love her. She's a part of the Legacy and that radio family, and obviously you're fond of her as well. And today's her birthday, so hopefully you don't mind it. We took a little of your time to share some love for her. We've got one other thing that we need to do as far as the course of our show. Bear with us, Kev, but our special listener is listening to us right now. We always give her love as a group. And so as we do at this time of the show, we always look square in the camera and we say,
"Good morning, Sue."
Yeah. You know, Steppin, Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. Sue is saying good morning. She's also saying she loves her HBCU. She shares her HBCU with you and I, Kev. She's Virginia Union University family. She's a Panther. And she's saying happy birthday to you, Tracy. So so much love going around. And this is something that I love about being able to do this. So, Kev, thank you for indulging us for just a moment. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio.
Yeah, so Kev, 2 things. First thing, if you find yourself down in North Carolina, you could actually stop by Johnson C. Smith while you're there, please. I mean, that is a university.
We've already done Johnson C. Smith along with Livingstone.
Okay, good.
And I must say, Johnson C. Smith gave one of my participants a $5,000 grant on the spot.
This is what I'm talking
Shout
about.
Out. All right.
That's the potential for the program.
That's why when we mention North Carolina, I always want to hear that mention. also,
Yes, indeed.
tell me about your motivation. Like, what was it that drove you to do something like this? Tell us about that.
Well, my motivation is, like I said, that's everybody. You know, we all have gone down rocky roads. My life hasn't always been the best. And, you know, I strive today to be the best person that I can be. And I've always had a heart for giving back. And it's just something about our youth that I feel that, especially inner city youth, that just don't have the opportunities that, as we say, they have at PWIs. And I just feel that giving back is the way to show the resilience in yourself. So when you get youth and I do these trips, you know, it's fighting tears back. It's really fighting tears back because it just brings me joy to do it. And I just, like I said, there's so many youth out here that don't have these opportunities. There's so many youth that will never see more than a mile radius of the community they live in. And unfortunately, because a lot of them may not have the parental guidance that they need. They don't have the foundation that has been laid, like my foundation was laid, to be able to get out and see them. So just giving back and looking at where my life was and where my life is today, the only thing that I feel that I can do is to give back. And the way to give back is to open up a door to educate the mind for my inner city youth. So I love it. I mean, there's nothing. I've always told people I would prefer to be homeless on the street, give up my paycheck to make sure these youth get to these universities than to be living in a home. It's just something that I feel that needs to be done. And I say this along with that. When you have a program like this, that when I started this program, doesn't make a difference what happens. Okay, how much money I get, this program will always be unconditionally 100% free. And with a program such as this, every high school in the city of Richmond and the surrounding county should be having one bus leaving their school every time we are journeying to an HBCU. And even though it's an HBCU, regardless, it's still a school of higher education. We shouldn't have it where you have one bus leaving, or you put a trip out on the internet and you blast it out and you get no response from anybody. Believe it or not, this trip that's going out tomorrow, we got the bus filled over the last 3 days. And this was by one young lady that I go to church with. She blasted out on her Facebook page, and we have 15 kids now on the waiting list. But it shouldn't be that way because this is free. Right. All you have to do is go to the website and register.
Right. So now hearing what you're telling me and what you want to do, so it's a wonderful thing. And I want to tell people a lot of times when you think about education on a university level, it has its own dynamic. When you talk about going to a HBCU, there's significantly more there than the education. It's a cultural investment, and it's a social investment for understanding, because as people, we are so separated. Right? I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. It is so incredible to think about how many people never leave their city. And with Black folk, how many people never leave their neighborhood? And in New York City, the dynamic is so funny because a lot of people travel underground. They go in one hole and come out another hole, and it's just in another place. They don't know anything about the in-between places. Right? True. So what I want to do is I want to, like, after this show, you know, you have Mark's information, get in contact. I still have a lot of people in New York politically that I deal with. I would love to be able to get something like a sister program or a brother program, however it wants to be called, where other cities, where, you know, people in Virginia, they have some access, but people in like Detroit, New York, Chicago, New Haven, Connecticut, places like that, Jersey City, where Marcus is from, they don't have ready access even in their city to an HBCU.
Right.
So you're talking about getting on a bus and taking, the overnight trip or whatever it's going to be, and bringing these kids, these young people, out of where they are to something else, just to see something else, that there is something else. And here's a place where you can gather with other people in your peer group who are from other places, and you guys could share your experiences. I know the internet has brought us a lot closer, but the dynamic of an HBCU is incredible. You get people from New Orleans and from California and Texas and New York and all these other places, all down in Howard or Virginia Union or Hampton or wherever, and just blending all the fantastic, incredible things that comes from that. Finding out what is the same and what's different about one another is incredible. So I want to try to put that together with you, sooner than later.
I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that.
And I have Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio, talking a little bit about clean city programs. That was something that was on the list to discuss. Before we do that, let me get this comment and see. Arthur Tracy says there's nothing like the HBCU experience. Grambling State. All right. Well, all right. Go ahead, sis. Yeah. Has Steppin Marcus J. Clean city programs. Talk to us a little bit about that, Kev.
Okay, the Clean City programs, what we do is we partner as HBCU, Education Children Programs, and also I have behind me the Crosslink Coleman Group. But the Clean City program, we partner with Clean City Commission from the city of Richmond. What we do, we have 5 locations in the city of Richmond where we clean the streets. The first location we picked up was on 100 block of East Baker to Chamberlain Parkway, which is over by Gilpin Court. We clean that. We clean the off-ramp off of Chamberlain Avenue going down to Brook Road all the way up to RHA. We also clean the Robert E. Lee Bridge, which is only for adults only, on both sides. We clean the Robert E. Lee Bridge. We also clean Cowarden Avenue, north and south between Robert E. Lee Bridge and Hull Street. We clean Riverside Parkway right behind SunTrust Bank, that whole strip back there. We also clean, the last location is Richmond Henrico Turnpike. We also clean that little short spurt over there where the little park area is. So what we have implemented, we've been cleaning this now for over a year. So what we've implemented now is we're asking all of our participants that register for the program to donate 4 hours a month. That's 1 hour every weekend. You can pick any location between the months of March to October is when we clean, when it's not as cold outside, and we clean. It's a way to show that you appreciate the fact that all of the entities, all of the people that are putting forth their effort to make sure you go on these trips, you're just giving back, because that builds integrity, character, your morals, and respect for one another. So this is what the Clean City program does. We partner with the Capitol Trail. We're on a waiting list there, which we'll be cleaning a 1 mile stretch from mile marker 51 to 52 in Richmond on Route 5. We also partner with Adopt a Highway. So all of these programs we partner with to help clean the streets, because I believe in keeping where you live clean. We also partner with the Department of Justice Services. We partner with the Probation Department in Petersburg. So it's a lot of different entities that we partner with. We're very diverse in what we do. So we try to also not only open up the avenue to get into schools of higher education, HBCUs is only what we deal with and historically and our own culture, but we also open up making you responsible at an early age, so that development will allow you to be more rooted, more grounded when it's time for you to move on into that school of higher education. So that's what the Clean City program is all about. So our signs are going to go up. We haven't had the signs put up yet because I've just been so extremely busy. But we're going to have a ceremony putting all the signs up around the city with all the areas that we clean.
Yeah, I love this.
Awesome. I'm sorry. That is awesome.
Wonderful.
I love that. I was watching something the other day and they were talking about how civics are dropping to the wayside, that most of us are in a space where children aren't learning about their civic duties, their civic responsibilities.
Right.
One of that is, like you said, keeping the space that you live in clean, acknowledging that the value of it is determined by you, and that's really what I see you encouraging there. Let me ask you, are the students also able to use those hours to put on their collegiate resumes?
Absolutely. We already have Charles City County, which a lot of the students that are going tomorrow are from Charles City County. Anybody that does any cleaning or any type of community service with us, it can be used towards, if you're on probation, if you need community service, whatever, it can be used for that. We are recognized by the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Excellent. I mean, I'm so happy that there's somebody that's kind of bringing this back. Certainly, I will offer some volunteer hours on sales, marketing, that sort of thing, if it will help you guys. Because I truly think it always goes back to when people perceive that they have opportunity ahead of them, they start to work toward it.
Right.
When they don't see it ahead of them and they don't see it as a potential, there's nothing to work for. There's nothing to live for. And I think you're giving people an opportunity to see their potential. Thank you.
As a recent retiree, I will make myself available if you need a chaperone or someone to ride along on the bus, deal with the kids. Let me know ahead of time.
I appreciate
when
that.
the trips is going on, I'll make myself available for you.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody, if they on our website, www.hbcuedtours, our tentative college tour schedule is up there. With COVID, we all know things are subject to change. But and I want to say this for all of the people that are listening, students, parents, chaperones to be, when you register for this program, it's a one-time registration. You only register one time. We blast the email out to you, letting you know when the trip is coming up. You just respond back to us. That's as well as chaperones. So it's not every time we run a trip, every time we have an event, you have to register. So it's just a one-time registration. And the process is easy and it's simple. It's friendly. This is a family here. This is the HBCU ED Tours family. So once you register here, you become a family. This is how we roll here.
I can appreciate it, man. Ain't no hashtag more Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. As we move towards our close, Kev, I want to give you an opportunity to let the folks that are viewing and listening to know how to reach you, to how to, as John and Steph had volunteered their services, how can others do that? How can we rock with you, bro?
The simplest way to reach me, I'm gonna give you 3 ways to reach me, and everything comes directly to me. The first way is text message. If you text 804, that's area code 804-997-5454. That's the HBCU cell phone. You can call it. I'll tell you to text it. It comes directly to me. That phone is with me 24/7, 365. So you can text that, or you can email us. Just email us at info@hbcuedtours.com.
Yeah.
Or just go to the website. The best way to reach me is via text message. That's 804-997-5454. I respond instantly.
There are a lot of guests that we have on the show, and we've been doing this for 10 years. 10 years next month. And we've had a lot of guests, man. And I could tell you, you're one of my favorite guests. And let me tell you why. This is personal for me because I came all the way from New Jersey to come here to RVA to go to a HBCU. And everybody has their reasons for why. I've got a few. One of mine was I spent most of my summers in Greensboro, so I was comfortable down south. But I knew that I wanted to go in HBCU, and you are providing a service for young people who are in that formulative stage where they're getting ready to make the decisions that are going to affect the rest of their lives. And you right there helping them with it. And you are showing them this option that so many of us don't realize is there. And it was important for me because this was a 4-year period where I was able to look around and see people who look like me, who had similar motivations as me, that had similar backgrounds as me. And that is the last time as Black people in our lives that we're going to have that kind of experience.
That's true.
And so when I see somebody like you who are taking young people and you're opening their eyes to this opportunity, I can't do nothing but love you, brother. Really.
Appreciate it.
You know, and I'm just so proud and honored to have you. I'm proud and honored to know that this service is available to our young people, not just for Virginia Union University, which I would always celebrate, but I realized that as much as I would celebrate that, there are others that would want to celebrate their colleges and universities, HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. And I'm just, you know, just as I mentioned to you before, man, we've been circling each other in social media for a long time. And so I've seen these tours that you've done, but to have an opportunity to talk to you and build and to actually see what goes into it and to know that you doing this largely out of, you know, it's like a service. It's like a ministry, you know, like the radio thing that we do. Like there's certain things that you do, you just do. You don't really know how to explain it. You just know you got to do it.
Exactly.
You know, and that's kind of what it feels like here. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. And so thank you for doing this for our children, brother. Thank you.
I love it. And I'm going to do it as long as I have breath. It's going to get done.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you real dope. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus
Thank you,
J,
brother. Thank you.
Live from New Den, Legacy in that Radio. As again, we're at the end of our time here, so I will give you the opportunity to say any final things that you want to say to anybody that might be watching and then listening on the strength of you being here, or anybody who might want to help participate in this mission, in this ministry, in this journey that you're on. The time is yours now to close with your final word, my brother.
I just want to say this, like I said, everybody, if you want to reach out, you want to be a part of something special, text me, 804-997-5454, and I will give you all the information you need to help educate the mind. And I want to say this to all of my youth, whether you're an inner city youth or just a youth in general, and even to the parents. I'm attending Virginia Union University on the strength of my good friend, author Tracy Hadney Scott. You know, I talked to her a lot about it, but, you know, I drive a tour bus full time. Yeah. And I carry a 3.96 GPA. So at the age of 58, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
We so proud of you, brother.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're so proud of you
Inspiration,
as brothers and as sisters, man. It's important that we hold each other up and we support one another. And you got love and support from the family here at Legacy in that Radio, more specifically the flagship show, Ain't No How Steppin with Marcus J. You and I share a love for Arthur Tracy Hardney Scott, and we also share a membership in the family that is Virginia Union University, brother. So thank you again for your time tonight. Thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for doing what it is that you do. You are important, and we value you.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate you all, and keep up the good work. I love the show.
Appreciate you, brother.
Have
a good night, man. Peace.
All right. Take care.
All right. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy in that Radio. Normally we go right into the next thing, but we have to debrief what we just spent the last 30 minutes doing. Yeah. Crack it. Okay. We have to debrief what we just got finished doing with the great conversation that we just had with our
Yeah.
brother Kev. You up first, Steph. Your thoughts on this amazing, amazing opportunity he's given to these young folks?
You know, I like when someone takes their past and really, really finds a passion and does it in a way that doesn't center them. Like, you know, he knew he wasn't exposed to opportunity, and you know, he said he wasn't perfect when he was growing up or as he was moving through his life. And he recognized the thing that for him that was missing was education. And a lot of people have been like, all right, I'm gonna stop everything I'm doing. I'm gonna go back and get my degree and everything else. And instead, he focused on the youth getting what they needed. And now he's focusing also on himself. I mean, I just really have been lately focusing on the fact that every single time we talk about poverty and what people should and should not do, the results of what they're not doing really come from lack of exposure and sometimes lack of opportunity. And here you have somebody saying, hey, let me just show you what's out there. That will change the behavior of someone when they know they're working toward. That's why when you are, you know, in the sales world, that's why you establish quotas. Because if you know the number you're working toward and what that looks like financially, you're likely to work harder for it. You've identified what you're moving for. This is him helping people identify, young people in our communities, you know, where we're constantly talking about crime going up. We're constantly talking about the shootings that are happening and, you know, the lack of financial investment in Richmond public schools, all of those things. You have somebody saying, I'm investing whatever I can into this community. I think it's dope.
Just the travel portion of it to me is it's inestimable the value that young people receive when they travel.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to be a part of an organization as a young man that had me travel a good portion of this country on a regular basis. And it opened my mind up to so many things. During these times, I even like lived with like host families for like a day and two, and just seeing other people and the way that they lived and the way that they experienced life being so different from my Brooklyn, New York roots was just incredible. But again, going to just from New York to Connecticut, short ride, but it was like I traveled around the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going to Boston, like going around the world, going to you know, South Florida, DC, North Carolina, all these places that I traveled and was able to travel, and then being exposed took away the stigma or the fear or the apprehension of traveling. So when I became a teenager, you know, and there was a special at when it was only Greyhound and Trailways. You know, we didn't even have Peter Pan. You know, I would jump on the bus down to DC just because, without reason.
Yeah.
It was like I think it was a $40 round trip, you know, and just to do it, just to walk the city, because I was always into architecture, and then just to meet people and get it. I got exposed to go-go. I think it saved my life. Like being exposed to go-go music, just seeing how different people party. Like, because all I had was hip hop growing up, you know, R&B, and then hip hop became a thing in the mid '80s. I got exposed to go-go music, and it was like, whoa, you know. So just being able to travel, take these kids someplace else. Because
Yes.
again, most people, it's a statistic. I think it's something like 90% of people die within 5 miles of where they were born.
Wow.
They don't leave. They don't leave. And in most, and we take certain things for granted, like yearly vacation, family vacation. Most people in America don't go on a yearly vacation, a family
true.
vacation. And among black folks, the percentages are much less, you know, who actually have. And that's something I always, you know, tried to give my children, that, you know, when they were young, always every year, a week or 2 weeks here, or, you know, 2 trips, you know, one in the winter, one in the summer. And just to know about this someplace else where people do different stuff. So I commend him. I want to be a part of it. I want to help expand it. And I just, you know, I don't want to. We can go all night about it.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. I have his contact information, so definitely reach out to me and make sure that I get it to you guys, and you guys
Oh
can
yeah,
reach out to
100%.
him
Saying it.
and reach out to him. I wanted to make sure that we gave him his flowers while we had him on the air, and
We got to have him out to our special event.
yeah. Um, I want to make sure that he understands how important this is, because oftentimes when you give yourself so much, it's so selfless that you're not used to someone giving you your flowers. Like that often is motivation to continue. And so I know it ain't easy what he's doing. There's no way that what he's doing is easy. It's just not. And so whenever we see someone with such an undertaking, we must make sure that we support them. Ain't no how step with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. So it is the top of the hour now, and it is time for us to shift gears and kind of move on into the balance of our show. And so much that is out there, John, Steph, for us to talk about. I will kind of start it off with a headline. Tonight I'm feeling emotional.
Uh-oh.
I'm an emotional man. I make no qualms about it. I am. Tonight I'm feeling pretty emotional about two, not one, but two legal cases. And so I'm already going to tell you, I'm coming from an emotional perspective here. So if y'all are going to talk to us from the legal perspective, by all means do so. I found myself in a debate today with someone who's a great man, who I respect, who wanted to talk more legal than emotional in these cases. And I respect where he's coming from, because the emotional guy that I am is not going to get a win in either of these cases, just because the legalese is what will be the defining message in these cases.
That's true.
I am intellectual enough to know that. I'm emotional enough to not give a fuck. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to talk about the prosecutor in the Georgia case and the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. Will not call this the Ahmaud Arbery case, because he is not
He's
on
not
trial.
on trial. No.
He is the victim. I will say in the case, in the death of Ahmaud Arbery, where you had the prosecuting attorney, and I'm on a soapbox for a minute, so y'all just bear with me. I'm going to give it to you in a minute. But the prosecuting attorney last week appealed to the judge that he didn't want to have any more black pastors come into the church into the courtroom during the proceedings. His fear was that there would be some intimidation factor towards the jury pool and the court. And he at the time said, and I'm paraphrasing, black Panthers, like the guy who we had earlier here. I don't know what's the guy name.
Al Sharpton was there.
Jesse Jackson.
But this is the
actually
thing. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When it was actually Al Sharpton who was in the building, not Jesse Jackson.
Actually, that's wrong. He said it was Al Sharpton, and then he said, and I think earlier it was Jesse Jackson. It was Ben Crump.
Right. Jesse Jackson wasn't even there.
Was never present.
He wasn't there until today. He was there today. So there's so many pieces that we can get into with regards to that. We can talk about how nonchalant these folks can be with regards to the difference between one black man and another. Because the difference between Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and Ben Crump is the difference between John and me and our brother Bobby. If you ever seen the three of us together, then you know three handsome guys, three very different guys. In their case, three very powerful and influential guys, three very different guys. So here you had as a man that doesn't even know who he's talking about. But more specifically, the colossal gall that it must take for him to appeal to the judge in open court and actually say out of his mouth that there should be some sort of ban on black pastors coming to this court.
We don't
That
need any
is
more black pastors.
Outrageous. Now, I can stay on the soapbox, but clearly my team deserves an opportunity to get in on this. So I'm going to pull back my mind because I'll monologue this son of a bitch right here. But these two need to get in on it, and we will talk about it as a three. Steph, ladies first.
Good.
You know, I don't think this is a soapbox moment. It's so real and necessary. I mean, they're saying the quiet parts out loud. The things you usually whisper, and sometimes black people, they'll be like, white people when
I
they're in
never do
public,
that.
and I'm
And
like,
I get
why
on
y'all
people,
doing that?
Don't be whispering that.
Don't whisper
You
that.
don't-
That's
yeah.
what they wanted to be
I
called.
ain't whispering
They
nothing.
gave themselves that name. You can say white people out loud, but this was one of those moments. The owner of the home that Ahmaud Arbery went into, and they had multiple days of tapes where he did go in. Nothing illegal about that. He went in. He went in and he came in with nothing in his hands. He left with nothing in his hands. Right. The homeowner that they said they were protecting his interests, who seemed somewhat sympathetic, because first of all, he was like, I didn't ask for their help. I didn't give them permission to be on my property. But then he said, yeah, when he called in for 911, there was a colored boy on the property. And it just makes you think about the environment in which some of our people are living. Like some of our people are, and I get it. I know you can't just, write a check and, poof, be gone. And people love where they're from and so on and so forth. But you have someone who's supposedly sympathetic to the victim that referenced him as color. And then you have
Boy.
And you did say a color boy. And then you have the individuals that are supposed to be following the letter of the law, arguing the case, but refraining from vitriol, saying, quote, we don't need any more black pastors in this courtroom. We're in a space where we should no longer make excuses for being very direct in how we address that kind of language and what's going on. And on top of it, the judge for Kyle Rittenhouse having the Donald Trump theme song, campaign theme song as his ringtone. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Okay. This is America, right? And what it comes down to me, I don't know what is more absurd to me, the behavior or the idea among our community that is something different or something new or unexpected, or that your white friends was going to save you. They know what it is, and they have no complaints. They have no complaints. Aaron Rodgers played football yesterday.
Sure
right?
did.
My man Castile got murdered just for driving while black. What's my guy? Eric Garner got murdered. He got a death sentence for selling cigarettes. But was it 3 now white people killed? I don't know how many black people. And they all are probably going to get off because they're white. And as the court proceedings go on, if anyone is tuned in, I couldn't stand to watch it.
It was too much.
It was so vulgar. It was vulgar. It was worse than watching like an X-rated horror movie or something. It was vulgar and disgusting.
It's trauma porn. That's what it is.
The things that are going on right here in the open courtroom and being filmed, right? It seems like these people are all going to be let go free because what they are telling you is something I try to tell everybody every week. I don't know what makes y'all think that things are any different. It's still what it is. Black folks still don't have any rights in this country. I mean, you can speak about what has been said, and because most of you are not, attorneys, you don't really know what you're talking about. And even within the attorneys, I know some very wonderful, black attorneys. Their tie to their craft is a lot, and in a way, it doesn't allow for them, and I don't mean literally allowing, but it doesn't allow emotionally and mentally or intellectually for them to really, really understand that black people have no protection under the law in this country. And anything that you receive that seems right is it's like a gift. It's not really a right. It's we'll let you get away with that one. All right, yeah, you got it that time, but watch yourself, buddy. It's like a courtesy. It's not a right. So if you do something, if you don't do something, if you get accused of doing something as a black person in this country, and you find yourself in the criminal justice system, and you are proven innocent, it's like a courtesy. Like, all right, well, we better watch out because we'll get you next time.
Keep your act together.
Right. And if you are doing everything the right way, like a normal person should, like any American citizen is expected to. If you go to work, if you have a family, a home, you pay your taxes. Even if you served in the military, just had Veterans Day, you served in the military, and all this stuff. They go, "Oh, you're a good one," and they'll say it in open court. "You're a good one. We're good. Thank you. It's good you did." No, you did what you're supposed to do as a citizen. But they'll put that on a pedestal to separate you, to say that everybody that's not you is beneath you somehow, and we're not going to extend these courtesies to you. This young boy went and had dinner, prepped, got up in the morning, had breakfast, drove to another state with his gun, and he knew it was wrong. He put it across his chest and went into a hostile environment with the whole idea of committing hostile, violent acts. And he says so. He said, "I shot people." He told the police, "Hey, I shot people and I need some help." And they said, "Well, what do you need us to do, sir? We'll help you. You shot some people, rioters? Good. That's good. No, what do you need us to do for you?" All based on his complexion. Had he been a black man, didn't shoot anybody, but he had that gun across his chest walking down the street, he'd have been shot, dead. And everybody would have said it was his fault. He should have complied. If this fella, Arbury, was running down the street with cash and jewelry falling out of his pocket as a white man, and if two black men got in his way, they'd arrested him. So how dare you stand in this white man's way? But sir, he just robbed. I don't care. Let him go. Right. You don't deal with him.
But this is where the gaslighting comes in, because intellectually, we know that.
Agreed.
Intellectually, we know all of that. But when you make that argument with what you would expect to have assumed, would you expect to assume is rational people, you'll be met with, "Well, how do you know?"
So watch this. I posted something.
But
listen, my cousin, shout out to my cousin, Jonathan Jones.
I had that conversation today.
So watch it. My cousin posted something, and he had, it was a meme, right? And it had Denzel Washington in Training Day with this, the look of absurdity because the people in the crowd turned. And it says, and I'm paraphrasing, it says something like, you all are not mad at people for lying at you, and have the nerve to get mad at me because I proved to you that they was lying to you. And that's my life story. It's like you tell people this, and you got them all see it, and like we was talking earlier before the show. We kick it all the time, Marcus and I, and Steph, and we all do. But we were kicking it just before the show, and I said, it's crazy. It's now, I always say white supremacy, systemic racism, and all of this. At this point, those words are not big enough.
No. Really
those conditions and circumstances are not broad enough to actually encapsulate what we are experiencing as a nation and as a world. The idea, the almost complete brainwashing of an entire world, right? Basic European white people make up less than 10% of the planet, and they rule it through lies, deceit, and murder. And we don't say anything about it. And then when we do, we get this fake friendship from other European whites who say, yeah, you're right. And they go, but then when we get into a situation where it's something like this, why is this a trial? Why are they finding things within the law to allow this boy to be on trial when he got in his car with intention to shoot people? He came across the border, he shot people and went back home. And we're going to talk about it. And he admitted to it.
Yeah.
But we're going to find a way in the law to make it right.
But you know what it is when it comes to that. And this is why I said I led with, I'm going to be emotional tonight, because we can look at a situation in America where you can walk up to a person in front of a room full of people, shoot said person in the head, and as long as you plead not guilty, you're entitled to a trial, even though a whole room full of people saw you do it. And so why does he get a trial is a very emotional question, and I can dig
no.
I can dig it, because
let me fix that. Because you're right. I want to fix it.
Well, fix it quick.
I'm gonna fix it quick, and I'm gonna let you go.
Right, fix it quick.
Forget about getting a trial. Everybody gets a trial, right? What I'm saying with that is there are things within the law, right, that could have and should have been brought to bear in the prosecution of this case that would have made it a one day affair, right? What they are doing on both sides, the prosecutor and the defense are doing they're working together. Everybody's on the same side in this situation, and they are creating a scenario where people can rationalize in their minds the insanity that this young person did.
That's the point of me saying that we're gonna come to it from an emotional standpoint, because Steph, all you had to do is tell me this dude ain't from the state. He's 17. It ain't his gun. And he up in there walking through a protest march that has devolved into a riot with a gun, and people came for him, and he killed them. Right. Now, we can sit here and we can pontificate as much as we want. I'm good. I'm a great pontificator. I can do that. At the end of the day, the only people that really matters is the people whose family members he killed and what they think. Right. Because clearly the facts of this case don't matter when, at the end of the day, the key piece that this is going to come down to is, did Kyle Rittenhouse fear for his life? One.
Yes.
And two, did he have a right to defend his life?
Those are
that
the
is
two
going to be
things.
those going to be the legal
right.
questions that someone like me who wants to be emotional about it is going to become muted, because what I think doesn't matter. How I laid it out. 17-year-old boy, you ain't got no business with a gun. 17-year-old boy in the next state over, you ain't got no business there. They saying, oh, he was guarding the park. I don't care about no parking lot. You care about a parking lot during the middle of a riot? Really?
That
really?
He didn't know nothing
really?
about it. He had no
really?
attachment to.
Really?
All of that is garbage.
Really?
All that's garbage.
Really? We care about a parking lot in the middle of a riot? Seriously? With a 17-year-old boy in the next state over with an assault rifle that don't even belong to him? That's what we talking about here? Like I told you before, I'm going to be emotional about this. You know why? Because it don't matter what happens in the court. It don't.
It really doesn't.
It don't matter what happens in the court stuff, because at the end of the day, these folks going to do what they want to do.
Yes.
And it's been my experience in life in watching these cases, particularly over the last 15 or 20 years or so, that it doesn't matter the common sense angle. What matters is what they want to matter.
That's true.
But
that's
Hold
true.
on.
I mean, when you watch how the judge is reacting to the prosecution, when you watch how the judge reacted to the faux tears that Rittenhouse put out, they're going to find a way within this law to make it very cut and dried. And, you know, it's always like when people will say, well, you can't really argue how you feel. In this, they are going to make a ruling based on how he felt. He was scared. He was 17. You know, they're assigning a level of humanity to him that will make it very difficult to say, well, he wasn't scared, because the average 17-year-old would be scared. But from the environment that I see him coming from, one where mom went and bought him a couple of beers not too long before the trial started, and, you know, and he hung out with some Proud Boys, you're not afraid.
He was afraid. I'll give him that. But here goes the thing.
I don't give him that.
You know why he was afraid? Because it wasn't what he thought it was. When he got there, it got real. And when it got real, he got scared. Scared people hurt people. But the point is, if he was black, he would not be able to introduce self-defense.
Let me get a couple.
It would not be introduced.
Let me get a couple of comments in from social media. Our brother Greg is checking in. Peace to you, Greg. Greg is saying, "What up, peoples?" He's saying, "Okay, so we know this. What is the solution? We know this. What is the solution? They are all officers of the law. They all eat and drink together. Period. So true. So the solution." I honestly, you know, a lot of times you get people who get a question like that and then they'll start talking like they actually know the solution. I don't know the solution. The solution for me has ultimately been do the best you can to not become so emotionally invested in these cases where you can't sleep. Right. Because I have become so emotionally invested in some of these cases where I had difficult time sleeping. John and I were talking before the show started about Eric Garner and about Philando Castile, those two. I mean, there's so many cases. We can talk about John Crawford. We can talk about Romali Graham. We can talk about Sean Bell. We can talk about, you know, Ab Luima. We can talk about Freddie Gray. We can talk about Sandra Bland. There's so many of them that we can talk about.
Bumpers.
But specific Eleanor Bumpers, we can. But specifically, the ones that we were talking about today was Eric Garner, Philando Castile, and I made the point that I became a concealed carry holder, licensee. I carry a pistol, y'all. Don't fuck with me. I started doing that around the same time that we lost Philando Castile, and so for all of these cases, right, there are so many of them that each one can resonate with different ones of us. Like if you somebody who hangs out outside the store, whatever it is that you're doing, maybe you're selling Lucy's, maybe you're not, but you can relate to Aragona. If you out with the homies a little later than maybe some would like you to be, and coming out the club, you look the wrong way and you lose your life behind it, you might be Sean Bell. If you somebody who is a vendor and you selling your stuff, and when they roll up on you, you try to show them who you is, you pull out your wallet, they think it's a gun, you might just be Abner Luima. If you in a store and you looking at the guns in the store and they come for you, you might just be John Crawford. Oh, by the way, that story made national news because a white woman running from the police gunshots had a heart attack and died at that time in that case. So miss me with, you got to just deal with the facts. Did you watch the case? Did you watch the trial? I had a conversation with someone today. Did you watch the trial? I don't need to watch the trial. I don't need to watch the trial because when I look at this case of Kyle Rittenhouse, right? It's not that these are the same cases. I realize they're not. But I look at him like I look at George Zimmerman, where the common sense part of you looks at it and you like, yeah, this ain't right. But the person who lives in America and has observed what America has done and knows how America moves don't have in their spirit any expectation of a conviction here. And this ain't even a black or white case. This dude killed white people.
Sure did.
He killed white people in a protest rally that devolved into a riot over the police assault of a black man. And you expect me to believe that this white boy who came from another state underage with an assault rifle that he didn't own, walking down the street and killed 2 people walking past police who gave him water, and I'm supposed to not be emotional about that and care about the court case? I don't care about the court case. You know why? Because I already know how it's going to go. So why should I? Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in their radio. We getting a couple of hits in social media. Our sister Melinda is checking in. She's saying just jumping in, and she's saying hey. And Greg is co-signing what we talking about. John, you got the con. Let me step off the soapbox for just a moment.
So here goes my thing.
I'm short.
This is why
I did that today.
This is why the court case matters to me.
That's who I am, y'all.
This is why the court case matters to me.
On his kayak.
Because everything in this country, is based on laws, right? This entire experiment that we live in, this corporation, is based on a contract. There's no higher law in the land than the right to contract. It will not be impeded by anything, right? So all of these contracts and different things that go on that create the law that we live by, right, that everybody is supposed to be equal under in this country is the issue. And guess what? I got a solution, right? Take personalities out of the case. It's criminal. We have something called the World Wide Web, right? We have every legal case available to us, and we have the facts of the case that's in front of us. We don't need to see the person. You could take their information, you could take it down, record it, and transcribe it, and you could put it into a computer, right? And you can bring all the case law that's involved in it. And guess what? The kid still might get off, but guess what? So would a whole bunch of black people who do a lot less crime if you apply the law properly and case law is allowed to prevail within a court case, right? But we have the thing where, if we can't afford a lawyer, we will give you the most jacked up lawyer possible, overworked, underpaid, right? We'll give you no time to prepare and all this other kind of stuff. So let's just eliminate that. Let's just make it a fact. We take what we know, we put it in the computer applies the law that it relates to and comes out with a probable verdict. Now, we can argue about that verdict a little bit if we want to, based on certain things that the computer didn't apply, which was emotion. But this is criminal case. We don't need emotion. I don't need to know about this boy and his mama buying him beer and all this kind of stuff. I need to know that a person brought a gun across state lines, broke a law, right? He went to a hostile environment knowing it was hostile environment with the intent to commit violent acts under the auspices of protecting something that he did not know about. He had no knowledge. This was not his family's parking lot. This wasn't a friend of his. Somebody didn't call him and say, hey, man, watch my parking lot for me.
Can I
No,
add something?
that
Can I add something that I know you're gonna want to comment on?
Go ahead.
You know that the case or the charge about the gun charge was dismissed.
Yeah, they
Yes,
dismissed
today.
the misdemeanor gun charge,
Was
which is actually a
dismissed.
And
felony.
in the underage, excuse me, underage
underage.
ownership.
No,
was
that
dismissed.
yeah.
That's
but
what they
but here goes
dismissed.
the felony. He brought it across. You can't listen. I can't take a pack of cigarettes unopened across state lines. You can't drive with open alcohol in your car. He took a rifle from one state to another state, an assault rifle, and he did it to his own admission with the purpose of committing violent acts. There is no self-defense here because this is premeditated. Right? He went into a war. You can't say, I'm going to go into this hostile war zone. Oh, I got scared, so I shot somebody. No, you went into a hostile war zone.
And you knew it was.
You knew what was going on, and you said that's why you went there. You said you went there because the people who had an opposing opinion of yours were being violent. And you went there to be violent with them because that's what you felt you wanted to do. The self-defense defense should not have been able to be admissible.
It really shouldn't have.
Right? And any lawyer worth his card, his business card, would not have let it happen that way. The fact that the judge's phone went off, that someone could hear it with the Trump thing.
Everyone could hear it.
Recusal immediately. Step down. You have political affiliation.
Everyone could hear it.
That is prominent within this case. Recuse yourself. Is he related to Nick Schroeder? Did anybody ever find that out?
No, I never saw that.
Because you know it's Schroeder, right?
Right.
And Nick Schroeder gave a ton of money for this kid's defense. So if he's related to Schroeder in any way, recuse yourself.
You mean Rick Schroeder?
Rick Schroeder.
You
Yeah.
mean the artist formerly known as Ricky.
Ricky, yeah.
Little Ricky, what they called him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Ricky, what they called him.
He donated. Listen, and here goes
You know
another
what?
thing.
You
Listen,
just catching it, right?
the fact that people were able to donate money, right? The fact that people were able to donate tons of money to this young man for his defense is in and of itself absurd, right? Because again, he doesn't need it, right? Because the prosecution is his defense.
Well, we know when we had these cases, man, the right will always step in and support those who they support, who they find.
The left is on the right on this one, bro.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when you have these cases like this, you know, whether it was the police officer who killed Mike Brown, or whether it was the George Zimmerman situation, or whether it's this Kyle Rittenhouse situation. For some reason, those are the ones who end up with money in their coffers, where you rarely see the families of the deceased who were killed by police officers get the kind of support that these I'm trying hard not to be disrespectful. It is easy to do that. I don't think anybody would blame me if we were, but that ain't in my character. So I don't want to call this dude what I really want to call him.
Just know we know when we get you.
Yeah. You know, so but we have to look at the situation for what it is. Like, these are the people who, if this kid goes to prison, let's just say that he gets convicted, because the jury has the jury has a case now.
Yeah.
Jury has the case now. So if he's convicted, I promise you, his family ain't gonna never have to worry about eating. And
he's a martyr.
So forever, however long he's in there,
and they'll protect him in there.
And they're gonna protect him in here. He's gonna be a freaking legend. Like George Zimmerman ain't never got to pay for dinner nowhere.
Never.
You know what I'm saying? So this is something that we deal with. Now, someone asked earlier on, what's the solution? I honestly don't know. I don't know what the solution is. The only solution that I have, the only solution I have is create the world that you live in so that kind of stuff don't affect you. And when it does, fight back. But the reality is, how you going to deal with the legal system coming for you? What does that look like? What does it look like when you are murdered and you're gone, and when you are having the people who are charged with killing you, and the person who is defending them appeals to the court and says, we don't want your supporters to come here. More specifically, black pastors. But the defense attorney appeals to the judge in the court and says, we don't want the supporters of the deceased to come here because we think it might affect the jury. We live in a country that does that. So I want to know, for those folks who say, well, what's your solution? My response is, well, I don't know. I don't.
You missed my point then.
Then maybe I did.
All we need to do, and it's real simple. I'm not the smartest man in the world. We don't never need to see a defendant in a court case. I don't need to see him. I don't need to know his race. I don't need to know his name. I need to know what the defendant was accused of doing and what evidence was presented that said that the person did it. Then I need to know what his defense evidence is against it. And then I need to weigh that. I don't need to know nothing about him. I don't need to know his personality.
Well, that's not directly addressing what I said.
It is, because it's the solution. It is the solution.
The solution that you just laid out was follow the law.
No,
that's what you just said.
No, I didn't say that. I said
didn't,
take
but
away.
That's what it sounds like.
No, I said take away the personalities. This don't got to be about a white boy.
You really think that's?
But that's the solution.
But it ain't realistic.
Why isn't it?
You know why it's not.
Well, say it. Why
you live in America, just like I do.
So now,
and racism will never allow that to happen.
So now,
you know it as well as I do.
So now, all of our white people, all however many of y'all it is out there listening, hear that clearly, right? America will not allow justice to be blind. America will not allow justice to be equal.
You gotta,
because you're evil
remember.
White demons.
Well, I don't use
colonizing.
I don't use that rhetoric.
I'm gonna stand up on my. Let me get my soapbox now.
Get your soapbox, but
colonizing.
Be respectful.
Colonizing.
No. I'm being respectful.
Okay.
I'm being respectful.
Okay.
Colonizing evil demons, murderers, rapists, and thieves. And as long as you don't announce it, accept it, and reject it, you are that.
Okay, I can dig that. I could co-sign that.
Okay.
Yeah, I could co-sign that.
I do agree with the last part.
Yeah, I could co-sign that.
I will say this.
I could co-sign
when
that.
John said it before, some time ago, when he was talking about blind justice, I agreed then that the only way to get something fair, and even then it will still be inherently tainted because you're going to have people who are looking at names. You're going to have, you would have to go pretty deep to erase the culture of the criminal, of the defendant, right? But I still do agree. I agree that a legislative process, process at the criminal and civil court level that is fully about who that individual is on paper minus race, blind justice. I do believe that would work. I just do not believe we'll ever go to it. I think there will always be a fight against it because the powers that be acknowledge that this is a problem. And they're not going to want to let it go. And there are just enough people that are going to say, there's nothing really wrong with that, including people who swear to be allies. But I absolutely do agree
they're evil.
That a shift in how we perceive things would work if justice was truly blind.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. Our brother Reynaldo is checking in and hanging out with us tonight. So peace to you. Reynaldo's comment says, John, you would be right, but the law in this case is clearly being disregarded, and the rule of I'm white and I say so is in full effect. To that you say what?
To that I say that is the law. And that's what I've been trying to say. this country is effect a big contract. That's all it is. It's a contract that says we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and this is how much money is going to exchange hands for doing it. And it was signed. It's a business. It's a corporation. It's not a true nation, right? So, under that same regard, the law is the country, and the law states clearly that black people have no rights that white people have to acknowledge, and that if you're free, white, and 21, you can basically do whatever you want to do within reason as long as you don't impede someone else's contract. That's what the law breaks. And you can take, I will challenge attorneys, anybody who wants to argue this point. If you take every single law in existence in this country and you break it down, that's what it comes down to. If you're free, right, and 21 and male, you can do anything you want in the pursuit of your happiness, right? Life, liberty, and pursuit of it. In that pursuit, as long as you do not impede someone else's contract. Now, they will make all this language and dress it up and spin it around. But if you got money, you have an attorney, they will go in there and find the right words and move in the right categories and break it down for you just like that. This is why, like I said, if the young boy was black, they would not have introduced the self-defense. They would have threw it out. They would have said his intent was, when he left his place and he admitted it, that he was going to a violent place to commit violent acts. So his fear is, whether or not he was scared or not is not the point. The point is he left there to be scared, right? He was in a hostile environment and he knew it. So the fear does not come into play, right? Fear is when you walked out of your door and unexpectedly a whole bunch of people started coming at you, so you shot them. Not you went to where you know people was going to come after you and then you got scared and shot them. Those two things do not mix. And the fact that people are sitting here, all of those newscasters, MSNBC, CNN, every white person in the nation will sit here and entertain that nonsense under their colonizing demon spirit is all I'm talking about. It's evil. Evil is simple. When you do something and you know it's wrong and you do it anyway without remorse, you're evil. This is some evil shit we're talking about. And it is the law. It is America. And black folks kind of know it, but they don't want to accept it because they too busy worried about the new Yeezys. White people know it, and they don't care because they know they spending black people's money. To this day. I saw a meme the other day, and the guy says, give me your wallet. He says, why? He says, just give me your wallet. The guy gave me his wallet. He put it in his pocket. He said, man, give me my wallet back. I need my money. No. This is not yours anymore. I got it. What do you mean it's not mine? I have it now, so that makes it mine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and will it to my children. He died, and years later, his children took the money and they invested it and they made lots of stuff and whatever. And the person's wallet who he took, his children were broke and they didn't have anything. He was like, yo, well, let me get some of my money. That's not your money. Well, it's my daddy's money. No, it's not. My daddy took it from your daddy, so it's mine now. He willed it to me. I didn't take your money. That was my daddy that took your money. Well, took your daddy's money. You never had any money. This is my money. Get your own money. Go out there and earn it like I did from your daddy. Oops, I forgot my daddy took your daddy's money. Oh, well, too bad. This is the country. This is what we live with. And the fact that white people are cool with that to this day, to hell with all of y'all and your nonsense about how you are good with black people and all of this and da. You're lying. You're lying to yourself to justify your own comfort.
I think that might have been one of the most brilliant ways to explain racism I think I've ever heard.
That was excellent.
I think that was brilliant what you just said, John. So I want to give you your flowers on that. That was, I think
there was nothing I could shake my head at.
Yeah, nothing. I think that
really
that was American style racism 101 in its most basic, purest, fifth grade level I've ever heard. And kudos to you. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. Shout out to my sister cousin Terry is checking us out. She's saying peace.
Hey.
Hey, cuz.
Peace to us. We're getting some love from Facebook live. Sounds good, but some stuff gets leaked. Fuck yeah. Brilliant, my homie. Okay, speak, John. Yes. So yeah, you nailed it. You absolutely.
It really was on point
you
tonight.
absolutely nailed it with that explanation. I want to shift back very briefly to the case in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. When we look at how kind of going back to the black pastor thing, and we just look at overall, because these cases are very different, but both of these cases have the attention of our country, and more specifically Black America. And while I don't choose to use the language that John uses, I don't disagree with it. So let me just be very clear about that. I don't disagree with the language. I just choose not to use it. But having said that, when we look at the Ahmaud Arbery case and his killing, just how clear and blatant, Steph, it is here when you start with the fact that this man was looking in vacant houses. I used to have a vacant house on a block that had other vacant houses. I've done what Ahmaud Arbery did. And that wasn't something to me that was worthy of death.
Right.
And when you have the homeowner say and show video of other people doing the exact same thing, to me, it ruins the credibility of the three executioners and lynchers, especially when the original prosecutor in the case was arrested for helping them.
Exactly.
And that's
she didn't bring them up on charges.
She didn't bring them up on charges. She got arrested for obstruction or whatever it was she was arrested for. And now when it finally gets to court, this is what we get. You know, and I know that there are some who agree with the prosecutor that there is the potential for trouble being made with all of these black pastors. And it ain't just white folks that feel this way.
No, it's not.
There are a lot of black people who feel this way. And, you know, it's because of us. I want to be respectful and honor those opinions. But I also want to say that I have no use for that opinion when we're talking about what happened, what we saw on tape, what we know happened after that. And for this man to go and ask the judge in the court to ban specifically black
we
pastors.
Don't need any more black pastors in here.
To not even get right the name of the nationally known activist black pastor who's in the room. That is the most classic case of privilege I think I've ever seen. I don't even need to know who you are. I don't want you here.
I don't want to deal with you.
I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
And what comes with you being here.
Yep.
And the fact that these people, these black pastors, keep wanting to say Black Panthers. My tongue keeps wanting to go to Panthers whenever I do this.
Them up
black
too, and
pastors,
they ain't had nothing to do with it.
These black pastors, the fact that he wants to ban them is the most obvious case of disregard for a victim I think I've ever seen. When you make the case that this man who has died is not worthy of support from his own community.
Right.
Just think about that for a second. And when you look at the jury and you see how it's skewed, 11 white and 1 black, it's a jury of his peers. Yeah, them 3
Not
white
at
dudes.
all.
As a matter of fact, it kind of is. Them 3 white dudes who did what they did.
They got a
Maybe
jury of their
it
peers.
maybe it is a jury of their peers since they're the
Absolutely.
defendants, which is even more striking and difficult to absorb in 2021. But I want to say 2021, but I want to take 2021 back, because you still have people who live on this planet who were unable to get a meal in their military uniform because they were black. You got people who still live on this planet who got bused to schools on the other side of town but still was in the same
You got a
classroom
vice president
that was
had that.
still in the same classroom with all black kids. Because even if
Segregated.
you got bused to a white school, they didn't want you with the white kids.
Yep.
So you still was with your own during busing. So this is the legacy that we live with, especially in a state like Georgia. So are we supposed to think that anything's different? We think something's different when you show us something's different. And you still showing me the same Jim Crow, James Crow, Esquire bullshit we've been seeing for my entire 47 years. And this man right here was on the planet at the same time as Martin Luther King. And when I look at Jesse Jackson for me, not everybody, but for me, is a proxy. Why? Because he was there.
He was there. He was present during the
He was there.
assassination.
He was there. And for you to have the wherewithal, for you to have the colossal nerve to not even care who you see sitting before you, that you would get the difference between Marcus J. and John. John, you talking about Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. We talking about that kind of difference.
Or even
And you
worse,
can't
It
even
was
tell-
Ben Crump and Jesse Jackson. Listen,
He's
listen,
comparing Ben
Al
Crump
Sharpton and Jesse Jackson is a much closer situation than Ben Crump.
I think when you look at the three of them, they look so different. It don't
It ain't
even
even
matter.
about
It
look.
don't-
It's about who they are.
It's about who they are.
Yeah.
But that ain't my point. My point is, you said black pastor,
Yes.
and you had Al Sharpton here, and you said Jesse Jackson. So I hear y'all. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about black pastors being banned from the court, and the social justice activist black pastors, more specifically,
got one
that they
for you.
like. I know, but you got to let me do what I'm doing. The black pastor activists who they all like to lump in the same broad basket by saying they all are the same. And I get frustrated at black people who do the exact same thing, who like to call them ambulance chasers, who like to say they only show up when certain things happen, when at the core of this case, you wouldn't even know about it had it not been for Ben Crump and Al Sharpton, because they came along during the period when the prosecutor was still lying. So when you look at this big picture, I got you, John. I'm gonna let you double dutch in, but I got you. I got you. The big picture of how outrageous this is, I don't know that we can completely fully absorb. Let me get a couple of comments in, John, and then you got it. Then you got it. I see you. So comes on, let me jump, you know, the little double dutch thing that you're doing.
Got you.
All right. Terry says Daryl clapped. I think that means he likes us. My brother Sam, who I'm so proud of and so happy is a part of tonight's show, is saying, my comments are too long. We need a round table at some point. This is a topic that needs to be seriously discussed. This is a real fight. And John says, we're just worried about the damn Yeezys. You nailed it, brother. Terry says it's a jury of their peers. The lawyer should be reprimanded for discrimination. He should have been smart enough to exclude all the clergy. I can dig it. If he'd have said that, I think it might have been a little different, but not really, because we well, not for me either, but for some it would have been, because it would have been inclusive. John, John, you got
this is all I got to say, and I'm gonna leave this subject alone.
No, you won't.
Yes, I am, because I'm not gonna talk about this case no more. I'm gonna say this to y'all right now. Check this out, right?
I believe him.
The judge and the lawyer needed to walk out of court. You know why? Ben Crump is not a pastor. What is Ben Crump?
He didn't
want the family to have an attorney at their side in the court. And he called the man his brother-in-law, is what that man is. He called him a pastor and said he was Jesse Jackson. He didn't even know the man was a lawyer. They need, and check it out. And Al Sharpton was not there as a pastor. He was there as counsel. And anybody knows that your legal counsel doesn't have to be a practicing attorney.
But I don't even think it's necessary
Yeah,
to get
none of
that
that-
mired down in the
Yeah.
legality of it all because it is an open courtroom.
But
If
when
it-
you
but
introduce
hold
it,
on.
and when you introduce
Hold on,
it in
John.
court,
Hold on.
you disqualify.
Let her
Here's
finish
my
her-
point.
no, let her finish
he
her point.
disqualified himself
Hold on. let
as
her-
an attorney,
hold
and
on.
the judge
Hold-
disqualified
hold-
himself as a
Allow-
as a person of law
allow
when they
me-
allowed it.
Allow me to take order here, brother. Let her finish her point.
The fact of the matter is, one, we know that the judge is in control of his courtroom, so it's irrelevant to even go that route about. It's just irrelevant at this point. It really is focused on the fact that the bottom line, no conversation necessary. Courtroom's open to anybody. It's open to anybody, and the fact that he would say that, yeah, sure, I don't disagree with any of the things you're saying, but the fact of the matter is, don't even have to go that deep. The courtroom is open to everybody. The courtroom is open to everybody. And the minute he said that, the only thing that the judge did that I thought was relevant was make it very clear that you don't get to decide who can be sitting in here or not. And the judge made it so clear that this idiot attorney turned around and started saying, what if I had a bunch of people in here with Colonel Sanders suits and masks on? What does that mean? So you think that the black people that are showing up are here on some performative bullshit. That's what you think. It really doesn't. All the other stuff doesn't matter. What matters is, even though the courtroom is a free space, anybody can be in there. Anybody can be in there. You still felt like you had the ability and privilege to say you don't want them there, to verbalize out loud that you want them excluded, and you truly thought that would happen. I think that's a more significant thing, especially considering that, according to the law, the rest of it doesn't matter. You can stop at level 1.
You know, have Steppin with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. Let me get a couple of comments in, and later on in the show tonight, when I get to my rants, as we close out the show, there's a huge announcement that we're going to make that will affect the future of our show. I meant to announce the announcement earlier on, but we're getting close to the top of the hour here, coming up in a moment, and so. We'll finish up this topic, and then we'll move to our housekeeping and our rants and our closes. We do have a huge announcement that we'll be announcing here tonight, and that will affect the future of our show. Ain't no Ask That Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Terry says Jesse Jackson was minding his business. They called him up.
Exactly. He wasn't even thinking about it. Terry is so right.
Jesse Jackson was somewhere else.
Jesse was trying to recuperate
from
COVID.
You know, he minded his business, but he was there today, though. You know what I'm saying? And this is how I love.
My name. It's like Candyman.
Here I am. Here
you
I am.
asked for it.
You asked for it. Here I be. Here I am.
I am.
Here I is.
John, somebody looking for me.
Yeah. You know, Sam says I am a man. Yeah, I am a man. Take it back to that. Sam says, I am not going to sleep well tonight, as we all shouldn't. At some point, it's going to take more than marching. I would like to see a change by whatever means necessary. My brother, I appreciate you. And you know how Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. I think we're at a good stopping point, unless either of you have anything else to get into on this topic. We should probably move on. And at this time of the show, we're going to move on towards the end, just because at the top of the hour, the way we rent and close these days, we've been doing 3-hour shows, and tonight ain't the night for that. So we're going to get on the hell up out of here. So today is November 15th, 2021. This week in Black history, more specifically on this day in 2010, former police officer James Barnard Fowler pleads guilty to the 1965 murder of civil rights activist Jimmy Lee Jackson in Marion, Alabama, and is sentenced to 6 months in jail. 6 months in jail. 6 months in jail for killing somebody. And you know, it's funny, they say the statute of limitations for murder never expires. Help me understand how The statute of limitations on a murder from 1965 warrants a 6-month jail term. Jail, not prison, jail term in 2010, but there ain't no statute of limitations. Okay. 2015, despite public outrage over a Texas history textbook that depicted enslaved people as, quote, workers from Africa, state lawmakers reject proposal to require that textbook be fact-checked. You know what's funny? I remember this, and this is kind of like the precursor to the whole thing. What do they talk about? Critical race theory now? You know, critical race theory to me is funny because I remember when we talked about this, we were on the air in 2015. That was 4 years into our 10-year run. And we talked about that. We talked about how it was a sister who called that bullshit out when it was her kid who brought the book home, the history book, and she looked at it and she was like, nah, that ain't the real thing. And she's the one that started the audit that caused them to look at it. That ended up being futile, didn't work out. But here we are, knowing about the fact that they lying in the textbook, calling workers from Africa. You know, it's crazy how they want to take the N-word out of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. Now, I don't use the word, but the word was used in those books. Don't be trying to whitewash it. I bet you Jim didn't even know his name was Jim because of Huckleberry Finn called him the N-word so much. Yeah. You know, that's just the way it was in them times. You can't change the history and sanitize it to the point when you got somebody that looks like Eminem that's going to be playing Tupac in the movie in 2055. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's what whitewashing looks like when you got Russell Crowe playing Noah and Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra. Come on, man. It's the same type of deal for me. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do one more. On this day in 1962, President John F. Kennedy orders an end to racial discrimination in federally financed housing, meaning if it's federal, you're supposed to treat us like you treat everybody else. And the president of the United States in 1962 tried to make that even. So shout out to him for that. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. Live from New Den. Legacy Internet Radio as we move towards our final piece of our housekeeping. We go through our missing children. Tonight, we're looking for two young brothers. Javon Garlick has been missing since November 3rd, 2021 from Chesterfield County in Richmond. That is the southern piece of our town. He's a 16-year-old black male. He's 5'7". He weighs 130 pounds. Javon was last seen wearing black and gray Nike Air Jordan shoes and all black clothing. He may be in the Dill Avenue area of Richmond, Virginia. If you've seen Javon Garlick, please contact the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. We're also on this day looking for Nikel West. He's been missing since November 12th, 2021 from Henrico County, which is also part of us here in Richmond, Virginia. He's a 15-year-old black male who stands 5'11". He weighs 150 pounds. Nikel was last seen wearing a gray Nike hoodie. He's got bushy hair. He also goes by the nickname Kel. If you've seen Nikel West, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. If you've seen Nikel West, or if you've seen Javon Garlick, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them via the phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from New Den of Legacy and Radio, are moving towards the end of our show with our rants and our closings. I will close it out with a very, very special announcement that I will share that affects John. It affects Steph. It affects everybody that's listening and watching right now. The future of Legacy and Radio will have a very, very big thing happen to us coming up in the very near future, and I'll announce that in my rant. At this point, it's time for John to have the con. He's got his rant. He's got his closings. What it do, homie? What you want to say to these peoples?
I'm gonna need y'all to hold on for a minute because I'm gonna go somewhere tonight.
Come on, John.
Right now, there's something going on with a former person who worked in the office of pathological studies or whatever it was. I think in Massachusetts, a young woman. They made a movie about it, right, or something. And she tampered with evidence, and she did so to help the prosecutor put black people in jail. Let's just say it. And there was something like 20,000 cases. Of the 20,000 cases, I think over 18,000 were black people. And they're going back now and seeing how many people they got to let out of jail. Problem was they're in jail and they've been in jail. And I'm sure some of them were guilty, but they lied about it to get them in jail, right? Someplace, I can't remember where, I think it's New York. There's a detective who did some real dastardly illegal stuff to get prosecutions. And they're going back now and checking all of his cases and people they want to let out of jail because he's jacked up. He's an admitted criminal himself, and he did bad things to people to get them in jail. We don't know about their guilt or innocence. We know about his guilt. I say all that to lead you to understand what's going on. Police officers are like anybody else in this country. They're a microcosm. They have every aspect of life that you might find in this country based on who they are as individuals, right? I'm sure there's some nice people, some wonderful, loving, great people. We got African American, Asian, women police officers. We got all kinds of people who are police officers, right? I have no grudge against them. Policing is evil in America. It was designed as an evil institution. It was set up specifically to chase, capture, and kill black people. It has not changed. Not even a little bit. When they have a roll call before they send police out to do their job, they tell them where to go to find and or in some cases create the crime because it's business. And they do not send them to where people are predominantly white. They send them to where people are predominantly black. And if there is no crime, they will find some crime and they will arrest these people and put them through the system because it all adds up. It's federally, locally funded to put people through the system. It is evil. Most criminal cases, most things that are prosecuted in court are misdemeanor charges. The vast majority of misdemeanor charges grow out of Jim Crow laws, vagrancy, disorderly conduct, things of that nature. That was all for slaves who were freed and had nowhere to go, right? So they would ask him, where are you going? I don't know. You have a home? No. You're a vagrant. Boom, hit you on the head, lock you up. When I hit you on the head and lock you up and you're in jail, guess what you become? A slave. Then you know what they did? They then leased the prisoners back to the plantation, who then had no obligation to care for them. So they would work them even harder than they did when they were slaves and then send them back to the jail where they got mistreated. This is the same thing that goes on to this day, right? The vast majority, percentage-wise, not body-wise, but percentage-wise of people in prison are black people. And if you want to add to that brown people, let's go ahead, but I'll keep it black. They work jobs, they produce things for the government and the state. They produce military gear and things that the military use. They do all this stuff. Labor for like 50 cents a week. Right? That's slave wages. That's slavery. It says it in the Constitution. That slavery is not abolished. It's not done with. If you're a prisoner, you're a slave. So that's why the majority of black people, percentage-wise, are prisoners. They're slaves. You throw some white people in there too, because white people is crazy and they do some dumb stuff like everybody else. Everybody else, we got black criminals. Sure, we got black criminals. Crazy, need to be locked up. Sure, 100%. But the scale is weighed far, far more against us. I mean, it's so obnoxiously unbalanced. The fact that people are willing to even engage in conversation about it proves to me that we're dealing with evil. If I have to sit down across the table from you and have a conversation regarding systemic racism and white supremacy in the American construct, if you are arguing any point against my point, you're either one, too stupid to be having a conversation with me, or you're just evil. You're just evil. Because if you're smart enough to know, you know you're doing wrong. There's no right in it. Not even a little bit. And the fact that none of these so-called good white people are prepared to stand up and speak the words of truth. And I know that they know, and I know that they're educated. You know, Columbus killed way more people than Hitler. I say that almost every week. Way more people than Hitler. With much more bias. African slaves trade started the other way. Took people from the Americas, from the Caribbean, and shipped them to Europe to be slaves first. That's how they knew it would work. The majority of Africans who were brought from Africa never made it to the shores of America. The majority died in the ocean, and those that made it stayed in the Caribbean and South America. The black people who were slaves here were the people they found here. And they know that too, but they won't teach it. They won't tell it. Now that we have the World Wide Web, people are going out and doing research and finding facts and producing documents, things that they wrote themselves that they thought would never come to light about who they found here and how they were welcomed and the things that they take credit for in this country that don't belong to them, including the Constitution. It's plagiarized. Thomas Jefferson didn't write anything intelligent. He stole it all. And I dare anybody to contradict me on it, because we need a lot more time for me to educate your stupid self. Now, I'm going to close this and stay on it, right? Everybody, take a moment, take a breath, but especially black folk, right? If somebody's telling you something and they don't look like you, 9 times out of 10, they're telling you a lie. You got 50-50 if they look like you, but 90% of the time, if a white person's talking to you, they lying every single word. Take care of yourself, take care of your own, and know what's going on. And figure out a way, some way, somehow. Get a passport and figure out a way somehow to not get caught up in any of this nonsense. Because, like Marcus said earlier, it don't take much for you to be Castile. It don't take much for you to be Gardner or any other name that's mentioned. It don't take much for you to be George. Don't take much. You got 99% of it if you a shade darker than me. That's it for my rant.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio, moving the mic around the room. Last before yours truly and our huge announcement, our sister Steph B. Steph, close us out. What you got?
I'm gonna keep it super simple. One, please tune in to the Hustlers On.
Yes.
WQCN.
That's an easy one.
105.3 FM. Let's talk business, have a little bit of fun. We got into Matthew Knowles, Aaron Rodgers. We did a lot of little conversations that tie culture to business. But I think what I want to end with is very simply that if you believe that supporting people who happen to be Black and are doing business is important, begin with self. Because a lot of times, what I see with us is that we are comfortable in a space in which we get to complain about all of the people who are not supporting us and how banks don't give to Black-owned businesses and so on and so forth. And yet we are extremely comfortable being quickly dismissive of each other's talents and capabilities and things like that. We're taught externally to distrust each other internally. And when we're doing that, it leads to failures of the system. When I'm going to be speaking to someone tonight, and he was talking about how someone of a certain culture, when he asked them, he said, "Who do you feel most comfortable asking for help?" He immediately reflected on one of his own. And he's foreign. One of his own is not Black or white, an American. In our own communities, we consistently recycle the narrative that we can't trust one another. Not with each other's spouses. Oh, well, I wouldn't let somebody be around my man, blah, blah, blah. Right? Not with each other in referring each other to businesses. I've heard people say many times, I don't want to refer anyone. These people mess up your reputation, so on and so forth. We're so far removed from trusting and believing in one another that we are reducing the potential for growth in our own communities. And then many of us who don't trust others within the community also are in a position in which they don't know enough people outside of the community to push them along. We should give up on what we were institutionalized to believe about people who look like us. It isn't helpful. It doesn't grow us. It doesn't propel us forward. Doesn't make the banks give us any more money to distrust one another. When Black Wall Street existed, there was a common trust and a common investment in one another. And now we're in a space at which, as soon as we can, we dismiss the capabilities of our sisters and brothers. We dismiss the ability to trust one another. We start to look at one another immediately as potentially detrimental to what we're trying to do. And I'm not saying that all skin folk are your kinfolk. I'm not saying that every single time you need something or want something, that we're the only people that can do that for one another. But we are the only community that has an inherent distrust built in. And it comes from the communities externally, but we've just perpetuated it year after year after year. And now they don't have to do the work. We do it for them. And instead of investing in one another, we immediately distrust whether we can give you money and you can be trusted with it. Look for opportunities to trust one another. Look for opportunities to invest in one another. And even more importantly, look for opportunities to speak against the false narrative of what they say about our communities. And that's my rant.
And how Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. So I'm gonna move us towards a close of our show. A couple of quick shout outs before I get to the announcement. Shout out to my sister and one of my yoga teachers, Kiran Bagat, is checking us out tonight. Appreciate you, sis, for being so kind to me all the time. And I appreciate you. So awesome. Shout out to our brother Aurelio, who is Legacy Internet Radio alumni. He is saying he missed a lot of the show tonight, and he's hoping that he can go back and get caught
YouTube.
up. And so we appreciate you, my brother. So much love that we've had tonight, and I'm excited. I'm humbled by it. As I look at the calendar, and as we've been sharing, for the last few shows. We are celebrating 10 years of live podcasting and internet radio for this show. Let me be more clear. Of course, my career in internet radio and podcasting began 3 months before that, September of 2011, as 1/3 of the green room that was hosted by the inspiration of Legacy Internet Radio, our brother Jay Grizzy Green. Shout out to Big Cousin Tony. I see you jumping in right as we move through the end of the show. Shout out to Cousin Terry, who says awesome show. She really enjoyed it. And then our brother Sam is saying, Steph, I love you, woman. Speak your mind. So yeah, Sam is an awesome person. I love this brother. 10 years ago, the first week of December, the green room transitioned from the green room to Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. And 10 years is a nice round number for transitions and new beginnings and things of that sort. And so the announcement that we have is a celebration of that 10-year anniversary that we will be celebrating. So on December 4th, 2021, John, that's him, Steph, her, and I'll be there. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio, will be celebrating 10 years of live podcasting and internet radio on December 4th, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the course of a live meet and greet and live airing of this show on location at the brand spanking new Brewers Cafe right here in Richmond, Virginia on Hull Street. So if you know where the old Brewers was, it's a block over on Hull Street. It's 2 doors down from the new, not the new, but from Croker Spot. And so we will be in the building, and we are calling on all of our alumni. We're calling on our friends and family and fans and anybody that's got a notion. We'll be there from 4 to 7. We ain't turning the mics on right at 4 o'clock, y'all, but from 4 to 7, we'll be in the building. And at some point, probably around 5 o'clock or so, we're going to turn these mics on and we're going to get it. We're going to do what it is that we do. We're going to give you the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. This show is called Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. I'm so proud of all of the co-hosts that I've had on this show in the 10 years that we've been on the air. And so we're calling on all of them. We're calling on all of the alumni of Legacy Internet Radio. And we're calling on all of the folks who have supported us, our guests, the sponsors that we've had. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. Yeah, it's a celebration. And so I'm excited. He don't look like it, but John's excited too.
Yeah, there's libation.
Extraordinarily
there's
so.
There's a bar. There's
Listen,
food.
I'm
There's desserts. There's
very
coffee.
excited.
Yeah.
Come out. Everybody come out. I want to see most of Richmond out.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's listening, tell a friend.
Yeah.
And if you are from another state and you listen or whatever, come down. Take a minute. This city is fabulous. And Saturday afternoon, going into Saturday night, it'd be great.
Yes,
come on and see the show. Brother said we need a round table. Come on down. It won't be round, but we can do it.
It's going to be an outstanding day. I'm excited. John is excited. Steph is excited.
Absolutely.
And hopefully the viewers and listeners are excited. We're going to be in the building. And, some of you guys who listen anonymously and all quiet and stuff, come through. Shake our hands. Dap us up. Tell us you like the show. You rock with us. Whatever that is. Make your presence known. So that's that. That's the announcement. And we've been holding on to that while we, made some deals, some finalizing of
Brother
the plans.
Kev, you got to show up.
One of the things that I would like to share is our brother AJ Brewer is a wonderful, wonderful entrepreneur, and He don't like to call himself an activist, but I call him an activist. He is Legacy Internet Radio alumni. He is part of the pregame that used to air here on Legacy Internet Radio on Friday evenings. And so we come by our relationship honestly. I'll give more of our origin story with him and why Brewers Cafe is our live home. We've done several live shows in the original Brewers Cafe prior to his move. And so we'll talk more about that as we go on in the next few weeks. And so I'll leave it there. There's no sense in going any deeper than that. I've made the announcement. You know what we're doing. I'm excited. John is excited, and so is Steph. And so that is the end of the show. I normally say that's the Marcus's unrelated rant that ain't got nothing to do with what we ain't talking about tonight. A couple of salutations that I will share. I will give the final word to my family. My family is checking in. My family is holding us down. First, of course, first of all, our brother Sam is saying he's excited as well. My sisters are checking in. My blood sister, my baby sister, is checking in. My sister Net, she's saying congratulations. I love you. My adopted sister, my sister Melinda, is checking in. She's saying congratulations. Let's celebrate. I'm gonna start walking now. And 10 years, yay. And then my sister Cuz, actually my sister Cuz Terry is who actually said congratulations. Let's celebrate. I'm walking now. Sorry about that. Attribute your comment to Melinda. Melinda's comment is December 4th at Brewers, correct. 10 years, yay, is what Melinda's actually saying. So my apologies. I ain't perfect. I stayed at a Holiday Inn once, but I ain't perfect. But that's the end of the show. I want to remind everybody, independence is the key to building your legacy. I want to say peace to all of the stars and the squares. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who, if I had shut up inside of 6 minutes, you would have heard him singing in the background. But he finished because even Bob is like, all right, bro, that's enough. So that is the end of the show. I want to remind you also that authenticity has no competition. Translation, we dope and ain't nobody like us. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. Live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. We'll be back here next week talking more trash and giving you more socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor. For John and Steph, I am your host, Marcus J., the handsome one. Holla at your boy next week, y'all. Peace.
Love you, social media.
There you go with that last word thing again. For real? Really? Really? No. Gosh, this guy, man. I love him.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this, I'm just gonna lay back and I'm gonna drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half stepping. That's the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about? Call it. We're hearing you. Cover all topics. Touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. Okay. 7 to 9:30. Please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission. We full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission. We full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. have Steppin, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. Reppin' Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.